Be Well, Be Sound is brought to you by Mind Body Music Center, whose mission is to utilize and promote music's inherent therapeutic and healing qualities in order to elevate the minds, bodies, and hearts of others. You can find us at mindbodymusiccenter.com or keep up to date with Mind Body Music Center on Instagram. Studying the effects of music on human cognition, emotions, and physiology is tricky because there are a wide range of genres, instrumentation, and styles of music, as well as our unique musical preferences. This makes it difficult to make any kind of generalization about music's effects on us. Sometimes very broad statements and claims are made, like music makes you smarter, music can help you relax, music is healing, but what does that really mean? In order to understand how to use music in ways that benefit us, we need to identify and break down music's complexity. Particular songs and pieces can evoke emotions and elicit memories and imagery. We have certain neural associations with familiar music versus unfamiliar music. Music with lyrics can add another layer of evoking emotional processes and meaning for us. The more we are aware of our own individual responses to different types of music, the more effectively we can apply its therapeutic benefits in our lives. Welcome, listeners. My name is Andrea Cortez. Thank you for tuning in. In this podcast, I'm going to discuss one way in which music can enhance cognitive processes. Cognition is the way we process information, including our reasoning, attention, planning, memory skills, and more. Specifically, we'll be looking at how music enhances our capacity for insight, imaginative thinking, and creativity. Let's take a look at someone who we are very familiar with, physicist Albert Einstein, and consider how he used music in his daily pondering of the laws of the universe. Did you know Einstein was a musician? He played violin and the piano. He even claimed that if he were not a physicist, he would probably be a musician. He attributed the discoveries in his work to his ability to think musically. He said, "The theory of relativity occurred to me by intuition. My new discovery is the result of musical perception." So what is it about music that could have helped Einstein create and build theories around the workings of the universe? Accounts from his family members reveal that Einstein would use music to help problem solve in his work. He would often come out of his workroom to play the piano. At times, this was his only break away from his study. Many times after playing the piano, he would get up and say, "There, I've got it." It seems he would reach that aha moment after playing music. His son recalled that whenever his father felt that he had come to the end of the road or into a difficult situation in his work, he would take refuge in music. That would usually resolve all his difficulties. It seems that using music in this way, as he did, interjecting music into his workday as periods of rest away from his work, that this could somehow reboot brain activity or alter brain activity in a way that opens the mind to see other possibilities and other perspectives. It turns out research is showing that there is truth to this. By taking a look at the neuroscience of creativity, we can begin to understand music's impact on creativity in the brain. Imagination and creativity use a particular network in the brain called the default network. Creative thinking is not limited to one side of the brain or a single brain region. It is a whole brain activity. In fact, music processing also involves the whole brain. Both creativity and music playing or music listening activate a variety of regions in the brain, connecting and sending information across the whole brain. When we are in a mode of creativity or imagination, the default network mode in the brain is activated. And in order to increase imaginative thinking, it is helpful to also decrease activity in another network called the executive attention network. This network is busy when we are intensely focusing and problem solving. Interestingly, studies done by surgeon Dr. Charles Lim have shown that musicians playing music are doing exactly this, especially when improvising music. They are activating the default network while quieting the executive attention network. Pertaining to his studies, Dr. Lim said, "I think the brain really alters itself into this kind of creative mind frame where its purpose at that moment is to generate novelty and to decrease inhibition." So through neuroscience, we can see the mechanism by which music enhances creativity. The key to how music promotes creativity is that music playing and listening can set up the ideal environment in the brain for insight to emerge and to allow the mind to imagine new possibilities. The idea that music boosts creative thinking has been researched and debated for a while now, and recent research has actually claimed that listening to music while working can impair cognitive processes. A study released this year by Threadgold and colleagues in the Journal of Applied Cognitive Psychology reported that background music significantly impaired people's ability to complete tasks, testing verbal creativity. And so they concluded that music impedes creativity. This study and others like this seem to conflict with the studies that claim music facilitates creative thought. However, if you look more closely at the evidence, you will see the key is to understanding how to use music and when to use music. The creative process can be broken down into different stages, including preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification. It seems when music is used during the incubation period, this can be most effective in stimulating the aha moment. The incubation period is where you let go of trying to problem solve. You stop consciously thinking about the problem or task at hand. And this is exactly how Einstein employed music during the incubation period. He stepped away from his work. He put down the pencil and paper and he picked up his violin or played the piano. He played music without doing anything else. And it seems he also listened to music in a similar way without doing anything else. In an interview in 1955, a journalist who visited Einstein was surprised to be doing more listening to music than interviewing. Einstein played records for him of his favorite compositions of classical music, and he told him, "Just allow yourself to listen. That is all." In another interview, Einstein did the same. As he shared his recordings of Bach, he instructed the interviewer to listen, play, love, revere, and keep your trap shut. This reveals much of Einstein's use of music, his ability to listen deeply without doing anything else, but being in the music. In regards to boosting our creative processing, how we use music is essential. It seems that full immersion into the music is necessary, whether you are playing or listening. And using music as background music may not be the best or the most helpful way to listen, especially while attempting other demanding cognitive tasks. The ideal time to use music to inspire creative thought is when you step away from a task and when you feel you are at a roadblock. Using music in the incubation period of the creative process can help new ideas to emerge. In Einstein's example, he actually played music, and while this may be the ideal way to boost the brain for creativity, listening to music is not to be underrated. The importance would be to listen without multitasking, but rather just listen and allow the mind to flow with the music. I also encourage those non-musicians to find an instrument that is most accessible to you. This could even be your own voice. The studies of Dr. Charles Lim emphasize music improvisation and boosting imaginative processes. My belief is that we all have the ability to improvise music, to play freely, to sing freely, and create melodies and rhythms. This takes even less formal training than learning to read musical notation. Improvisation is already at our fingertips. At the first sound that emerges from our voice, music is in us. You just have to remove the mental blocks that are in the way, maybe even the emotional blocks, and then your song will emerge. So I will leave you with this, my favorite quote from Albert Einstein. He said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world." Thank you so much for listening. You can find more information at mindbodymusiccenter.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at mindbodymusiccenter. Until then, be well and be sound.